Good morning, Santa Clarita. Welcome in. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVI Charter School's Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson with my co-host, Amber Golden Raskin. Good morning, Amber.
Good morning.
Amber, you may have to carry quite a bit of the show on your own. Shane, our board op, and myself, we may need to exit the studio here and take a knee. Today is a rough day. I know our listeners know that I'm a sports fan, and today is supposed to be opening day of Major League Baseball. It's supposed to be the first 4 games of the Sweet 16 at the NCAA tournament.
That's heartbreaking. I'm so sorry.
It's kind of a rough one for us to get through, and I got to admit right here in front of my boss, today is what should have been the least productive day of my work year as I sit home and watch all the baseball and basketball games. I'm really suffering a little bit of withdrawal. Last night as we were cooking dinner, I bet my son $20 that the garlic bread would be ready before the barbecued chicken. It is terrible. Well, but we're all dealing with stuff, and the great thing that I do hang on to is the fact that I can actually affect how soon sports come back. By other than the couple hours that we get out to the radio station every day for this essential service, I have not left the house in the last 2 weeks, and reminded my family and my friends to do the same thing. I've been washing my hands and staying healthy, keeping a healthy distance. Even it's a little uncomfortable for me because I'm a touchy-feely kind of person, and we maintain our 6 feet distance. Can't give my friends a hug or anything. But like I said, that is my way and all of our ways of making sure that we can get back to baseball and the rest of our sports as soon as we can. We'll flatten that curve.
It's been beautiful to see the creative ways people have come up with how to be connected, even though we're maintaining social distance, including like missing the sports. First of all, it makes you really appreciate what we have, right? Like what an amazing community and world we have that sense of community, that we're missing it. And then now to find out that there are ways to connect that are new, that we hadn't done before, right? So we're all figuring that out too. I love seeing the creativity and the persistence and wherewithal with the people I know in my life and the people I don't know, that I'm just seeing amazing things come out of.
Yeah, definitely. Folks are more active these days on social media, which we've got to get our social outlet somehow. But I also love seeing on Facebook. I've seen so many pictures and posts of people with Zoom conferences, our teachers Zoom conferencing with their kids.
I know.
It is so cool. We had Aiden on the air the other day, our outdoor classroom facilitator, and she's taken virtual hikes with her kids, and they're commenting. Awesome. I think it was yesterday they were experimenting with food coloring, and the kids are posting their videos. It's so neat.
It's really going to be a new normal after this, I think, because all of these things were there kind of on the periphery, and we even complained about them, right? Like social media complained so much about it, and look how well we're connected now with it. I mean, everything in moderation and balance, right?
Sure.
But I think that there's this whole new skill set and set of tools that our entire world now has access to that they may not have pushed themselves to do before they had to.
Right.
So there's a silver lining there for sure.
Oh, definitely. And while you're listening to us, we know that you're at home maintaining your social distance. You're helping us flatten that curve. So even if you're not a baseball fan, come on, help a brother out. Let's get those ball players back on the field as soon as possible. Keep your social distance. Try to keep some semblance of routine and normalcy for your kids as well, and that's what we're here for. We're here to help you maintain your sanity and help keep that happy and healthy home. So I just kind of wanted to ask, how are you doing? Are you enjoying this new closeness with your family, or do you find yourself lingering a little bit longer in the bathroom? I saw somebody post that, your car that's parked in the driveway is a great place to go hide. I mean, take a break.
Or have a phone call, right? Because we have the students in our house are on their Zooms with their teachers. My husband and I are both looking for a space to have a conversation where we're not, each interrupting each other's phone calls. So sometimes the car is a great place to do that.
Yeah,
in the driveway. And it's interesting because, especially depending on how many people you have in your house, if you all need a room to have a conversation where you're not talking over each other to the person on Zoom or the phone, That's can be a challenge too.
That is a great point. You know, the place that my son and I live in is a little bit smaller, and I had scheduled a telephone conference with our director of global initiatives yesterday, and it was right at the same time that my son was doing now his online therapy with his therapist, because she's not having clients into her office either, and we had to kind of work that out. So yeah, that's a really good point. So are you doing that? Are you lingering longer in the bathroom?
You can answer us on Facebook in the comments on our Facebook live stream. Go ahead and tell us how you guys are handling those.
That'd be fun. Yeah, yes. Shoot some comments on the Facebook Live feed and let us know what are the creative or funny ways that you are adjusting with getting the space that you need to make that business call, or to to call your sister and maybe talk about some sensitive things, stuff like that. Are you sending your kids to bed at 6:30 trying to convince them that it really is bedtime? Either way, wherever you are, anywhere in between that, we're here to help. While our campuses are closed and our students are at home, KHTS, in collaboration with SCVI and iLead Schools, are bringing to you this special edition of Eye on the Valley. We're calling it Homeschooling Answers, and we're here to guide you through all those difficult times, and we're here to support you and your kids. So let's lean on each other as we continue to sustain that happy and healthy home. We're also here each day, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., providing support and updates for you on this new homeschooling journey that we all find ourselves on. We're also continually curating, because Amber mentioned there's so many resources out there that we're kind of forced to get good at now, but there's so much out there it can be tough to weed through. So we've got a website that we're curating and adding new resources for you on a regular basis. So go to hometownstation.com/homeschooling. So that'll be the KHTS website, hometownstation.com/homeschooling. And that will take you to, the link to our website, homeschoolinganswers.com, but it'll also take you to, if you're interested, the links to our different campuses, as well as a couple of other resources that we've got for you as you're working with your kids in conjunction with your schools and districts at home. From there, you'll, like I said, be able to go to that parent resource page. You'll be able to link to all of our California schools. We've also got the replay of the Facebook Live on all of our previous shows. So if you missed a show where maybe we talked about how to neutralize arguing, or you missed a couple of days ago when Kristina gave her great tips and helping our kids cope with difficult times, you can check out our previous shows on that webpage. Again, that's hometownstation.com/homeschooling. So some of those topics that we've talked about in those previous shows covered things, like I said, neutralizing arguments or using consequences effectively, leading with empathy so that we can stay connected with our kids and not blow up on them, what to do about meltdowns when our kids blow up on us, using choices to prevent power struggles. We're going to talk a little bit more about that today, giving your kids some choices so that they feel that they're in control of some things. Also, we talked recently about how to handle siblings who are constantly fighting. And today, we're going to be talking about how to wean your kids off of you and into independence, because, we can't keep them babies at home, although sometimes we would like to. Again, we'll get to that a little bit later on the show. But on today's show, we're going to be talking with Dr. Angie Staviska. She is a preschool through high school curriculum expert. She's going to be teaching us how to get our kids into some rigorous and powerful projects at home that they will really enjoy. It's getting easier to find some great resources to teach our kids some deep academic stuff, but finding something that our kids are going to really get excited about can be difficult. Dr. Angie's going to be here to talk to us in just a couple of minutes. We'll also hear from CPA Julie Sturgeon to discuss tax and financial issues. And we have our now daily guest. I'm really excited that Kristina is joining us every day. She's licensed marriage and family therapist, Kristina Debray, and she'll be talking about how to measure your kids' stress level, along with that parenting tip that I mentioned before, weaning your teens off of you and into independence. Before we get started today, I do want to remind you where you can get food should you be in need. Some folks are finding themselves out of work a lot longer than they expected, or maybe your hours have just been cut and you're finding it hard to make ends meet. We've got free breakfast and lunch at all of our iLead campuses. That's SCVI and iLead schools, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We've got a drive-up system. You can head to any one of our schools and pick up a breakfast and lunch for any child 0 to 18 years old, whether or not they're enrolled in our schools. So if you're close to one of our campuses, Doesn't matter if your child's enrolled, just bring them with you. You do need to bring your child with you, and you can pick up a healthy breakfast and lunch for them between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. again at SCBI and any iLead schools. Except for iLead Agua Dulce, they are doing 10 to noon. I know other local district schools are doing something very similar, so get on the local school district websites to see which campuses they're distributing lunches every day at. We've also got the Santa Clarita Grocery, where you can register and pull up with your grocery list, and they will take care of you. It's just like hitting the Vons or the Albertsons. The only difference is when you get to the register, they've got it taken care of for you. So it is fantastic. Also for you seniors, I know this can be a really difficult and scary time for our senior citizen listeners, but our senior center at Bella Vita are still there to take care of you. If you're not registered with them, you can call and register. They are also delivering drive-up meals to seniors. They provide a delicious lunch every single day. They're not able to keep their dining hall open anymore for obvious reasons, but seniors, you can still drive up and pick up a lunch from Bella Vita, the senior center. They also have their Meals on Wheels delivery system. If you're not able to get over there, they will deliver meals to you. Or if you just need anything else, if you need a way to get connected, if you need help getting medical attention, or you need some support in your house or other resources for seniors, give the Senior Center a call at 661-259-9444. 661-259-9444 for all your needs. I also know that the local grocery stores, and I love that they're doing this, they're doing special hours for seniors so that you don't have to worry about the crowds in the grocery stores. You can shop by yourself. So let's get started with our first guest today. Super excited. Our first guest was born Jasna Nostovska, which is a mouthful, but I love saying it. But you can call her Angie. Our boss calls her Dr. Angie, but whatever you call her, she is an ever-evolving, passionate educator who's got over 18 years' experience in education. She's got a bachelor's degree in English language and literature, a California teaching credential, a master's degree in curriculum instruction and assessment, and her PhD in educational leadership. She has literally taught every level of education from preschool through high school and even at the university level. It's amazing that she's still so young. She was born and raised in Macedonia. Angie loves traveling the world and has worked in Europe, Florida, Washington, D.C., New York, and Texas. But today, she lives right here in Awesome Town in Valencia with her husband and her young son, who, by the way, her young son Maxim, has a baby brother on the way. Angie's passionate and tireless as a researcher and educator who has made a name for herself nationally and internationally before she was even 30 years old. She's a leader on the iLead Maker team, which is our curriculum design team. She's redefining project-based learning in partnership with Dr. Tom Markham from PBL Global. She's a member of the Deeper Learning Leadership National Forum. She works closely with global educational initiatives through the International Baccalaureate Global Headquarters in The Hague. In fact, if we took time to describe all the work that she's done with the thought leaders in the Netherlands, we wouldn't have enough time to even talk with her on the air. So let's just get straight to her. Angie, welcome in. Good morning.
Good morning, Matt. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure, especially at this time, to be able to get somewhat closer to the community in this way.
It's great for you to join us, and I'm glad that you're able to do that while you're also able to stay home and take care of your families. I know, like I said, you're not only got a young guy at home, but another one on the way, so we need to make sure that you stay safe and healthy. I'm glad that you're able to do that. So before we get too deep into Genius Hour and these amazing projects that you're going to share with our families, I want to front load a little bit. We're going to be talking about project-based learning. We may refer to it as PBL. You know, it's oftentimes we laugh, Angie, you and I, about the alphabet soup that is the language of educators. You know, we abbreviate everything, and everything is SEL and PBL, and our kids ILPs and IEPs and things like that. So we've got to break it down. So you're going to hear us referring to PBL. That's project-based learning, and I'm going to have Angie explain what that is in just a second. She's also going to be talking about something called Genius Hour, which is really cool and inspiring, something that you can lead with your kids. But can you start, Angie, by explaining what PBL is and what makes it such a powerful learning model?
Sure. Thank you, Matt. So PBL is simply an approach to education or to teaching and learning where kids really just actively engage in the real world. So instead of what we're used to, traditional direct teaching, a teacher standing in front of us, in PBL, the role of the teacher actually changes into something that looks like a designer, facilitator of a process, guide for the ride instead of on the side. And the most important emphasis that distinguishes project-based learning from any other type of learning is actually the relevancy, the real-world connection, the authenticity, and the applicability, which makes it meaningful and relevant for the kids, which we all know, especially nowadays that we are cooped up at home, it's super important for our kids to have a buy-in.
So to explain kind of what that looks like when we are back on campuses and in the classroom, I want to throw a funny little challenge at our listeners. I want you to think about the most powerful and meaningful thing that you learned when you were in 8th grade. Marinate on that for a second. What was the most powerful thing that you learned when you were in 8th grade? Or what was the most engaging and deepest thing that you did when you were in 4th grade? Might be tough to remember because a lot of times in traditional education we memorize these facts and we might say, well, in 4th grade I learned my multiplication tables and I still remember those, and that's great. But I want you to think about a couple of projects that some of our classes have done over the last few years. For example, our 8th graders, they learn in 8th grade science about the principles of flight and they learn about things like lift and yaw, but instead of reading about it in a book and drawing a diagram of an airplane and the different arrows of which way the wind is pushing an airplane, they get in an airplane and fly it. And they learn that way. Not by themselves, obviously, but they fly gliders. That's actual airplanes that they are in, piloting, that don't have engines. And they learn to fly flight simulators. They do a portion of their ground school. That's what we mean by project-based learning. Or to use that 4th grade example, 4th graders all across California are required to learn about the digestive system, the circulatory system, and the respiratory system. And we all are familiar with the diagrams of the bodies that we label the parts, and we talk about oxygen transfer. But in project-based learning, one of the things that our 4th graders get to do is they actually become doctors. And we bring in typically a parent from our 4th grade community, and that parent will pretend to be sick, and our 4th graders become doctors, and they have to take the symptoms that patient is representing, and they have to diagnose her and come up with a plan for treatment. And so, again,
that is one of my favorite projects that we do.
Yeah, it was actually kind of neat. The first year that we did that,
it was organic. It came about organically.
Came about very organically, but then at the end of the school year, one of our families went on vacation. They took a long road trip, and by the time they got home, one of our kids that was now going into 5th grade had correctly diagnosed his little brother with Lyme disease from
that project.
From that project.
He actually diagnosed something that a doctor missed, because he'd studied Lyme disease in the project in school.
Right. So again,
pretty amazing.
In project-based learning, our kids go from being students that are studying something to being the actual authentic professional.
And let me take a minute, and Angie, please jump in if you have any thoughts on this. But I think one of the things that I'm so proud of that our schools do is the mindset shift, because it's not that we're feeding them the answers to where they have this, like, we've opened up their brain and poured in a bunch of knowledge. It's that we give them the efficacy to think that they could actually be so bold is to diagnose something that a doctor missed. So they have the courage and the confidence to think, maybe I have an answer that someone else doesn't. That mindset shift is what I'm so proud of that we do.
You're absolutely
Amber,
right. Go, Angie. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to jump in really fast. We're going to talk a little bit about this later on, the levels of engagement. And Amber, you're absolutely right. What distinguishes PBL from any other type of learning is actually engagement, which is high intention and high commitment on the side of the kids, versus any other type of education that we actually should avoid nowadays in the 21st century is something that's called rebellion, which is divided attention, completing things out of compliance, or no commitment at all on the side of the learner or the student, and no attention at all. And of course, I reflect back on Matt when he said, what is one of your most memorable educational things that you have done, even in elementary or middle school? How many people from our and older generations can really recall that, versus the newer generations that have been involved with project-based learning thing is our inquiry-based learning or hands-on learning, they cannot even pick and choose because there were so many.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, out of that 8th grade flight project, we've had probably a dozen learners or so go on to get their pilot's license. And you say a dozen out of a couple of thousand. Yeah, that's a helpful thing. But you know what? All of them remember it, and they all remember the experience and the learning. So it is a drastic shift, though, isn't it, Angie? The way we're doing things now. So what's the most obvious shift in terms of kind of what's happening in education now? You said we've shifted, and this coronavirus is causing us to shift even more. So what's the most obvious shift in terms of what's happening in education now, Angie?
So there's few things that are very evident, Matt, in terms of trends. And one is, as educators, we just want to feel wanted, productive, and needed on the side of the educators. And then on the side of the parents, it's just a shift. Where we used to wake up our kids at 6 a.m. and drop them off at school, still drowsy and barely having breakfast, and picking them up at 6 p.m., and barely having any dinner and interactive time and taking them to bed, and that becoming our routine. And now all of a sudden, we not only have them at home for a full-time entire day, like being on a vacation, but we also as parents need to assume the role of some sort of educator, which for some parents before this quarantine situation was super foreign. There's few interesting trends that are surfacing. First is that educators need to feel productive. And I just want to say to all the educators listening out there, it's okay if you're not able to offer any ideas for online learning. It's okay that you cannot create 48 pages amazing projects and slides or resources and post them on social media. And it's okay if you're totally and completely overwhelmed, because most of us are, and that's why we're here together to share it so that no one feels alone. But what you can do is let it be enough. Whatever you're doing, just make sure it's enough.
It's the mindset shift again. It's that mindset shift. Yeah.
Yes. And then for parents, there's a funny anecdote. The conversations floating around is, I'm sorry, Angie, I'm letting my child watch TV all the time, and sometimes maybe 5-6 hours a day. Uh-huh. So the parents that feel that, I have two things to say. No one is to tell you that watching TV or watching something on TV or a computer cannot be academic or productive. And here's two perspective shifts, as Amber call it. One is, if you feel guilty about your child watching too much TV, turn the sound off and turn the subtitle on. There's so much literacy going on. Kids working on accuracy, fluency, comprehension questions. If they miss something, they will ask comprehension questions. And also multitasking, they would need to be able to follow the action on whatever is happening and at the same time read at a pace. And the second thing is, if you want to even further that, change the language. Start introducing different languages. There's so much available out there. I mean, Dora the Explorer is in at least 5 languages. Right. Then for adults, documentaries, National Geography Channel, you can make it on any language. So just don't feel that guilt and think of how can we shift in this time of uncertainty.
That's really important that you mention, Angie, and I know that you're raising bilingual children. I did the same in my home. We spoke mostly Spanish at home, and then we would speak English when we were outside of the home. And it's so funny, back when we used DVDs, we actually had a lot of our cartoons for our kids, and my oldest, Rebecca, when she was about 3 years old, she was just starting to realize that she was bilingual, and she would phrase it, Daddy, I have 2 words, and I can say table and I can say mesa. And she used to love watching Cinderella and a movie on Anastasia. She used to love watching them in French. And so, yeah, absolutely. I would love. I didn't speak any French. In fact, I speak Spanish because I failed French. But she would watch over and over and over again in French. And she says to me one day when she was about 4, she says, "Daddy, I can speak French now too." And I thought, whoa, this is amazing. This is so beautiful. I'm just plopping her down in front of the little glowing fuzz box, and now she's learned a whole new language. I said, really? Speak French to me. And she says, "Shabon, bon, 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 shabon." So, no, she did not learn to speak French, but you know what? It really did open up her mind because the idea of learning a new language is learning a new system. It keeps it
And it's a little scary. So that's why they say learning a third language is a lot easier than the second language, because
Yes.
you learn to get over, frankly, something that we're all dealing with right now, which is a new system, a new way of doing things. And the biggest thing, even we noticed with the shift to technology, is technology became more and more prevalent. It's more about the fear of trying something new or looking stupid, right? Or not knowing what you're doing. That's the biggest piece to get over. In fact, I didn't do well, and it's no secret I didn't do well in school at all, but Spanish I did not do well in high school. And then I started learning it when I actually worked in a restaurant and made a commitment to speak Spanish with the people who spoke Spanish. I did that for a while. I traveled. I was in Spanish-speaking countries. I learned a little, but now, for many, many years, I have not practiced it. So now the hardest part for me is getting over feeling stupid.
Yeah, it's we've kind of gone down a little bit of a rabbit trail. I know we didn't plan on talking about developing bilingual children,
Right.
Angie, but
It's all right, and it's perfectly related. My next thing that I wanted to say is what Amber constantly refers to is the things that we as iLead family always tend to be criticized for, which is the ever-changing educational system and ever-changing learning outcomes, and our belief that learning outcomes and what a kid needs to graduate as is never static. So let's look at, for an example, the research and the publication from NACE about the Job Outlook Survey. Back in 2017, it said 78% of the jobs will require ability to work in a new team, problem-solving skills, communication skills, strong work ethic, communication skills, leadership, initiative, analytical, quantitative skills, flexibility, agility, and adaptability. And then we're currently, right now, preparing kids for jobs that didn't and don't exist yet. And we always say that, but using technologies.
Can I add something to that about preparing kids for jobs that don't exist? At last year's graduation ceremony, I looked at those graduates and I said, when you were in third grade, iPhones just came out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that really puts a concrete example around how rapidly things change. So if we're deciding what they need to learn in kindergarten, and then by the time they've graduated, it's dramatically shifted, especially now, that's such an important point with thinking about what skill set we need to give them rather than what content.
Yeah. Angie, you were listing those different things that employers want out of our graduates, and I noticed you didn't hit on a whole lot of concrete, what we consider academic skills. I noticed that you didn't necessarily say reading comprehension or basic understanding of algorithms, things like that. In fact, I think one of the only skills that employers are asking for discreetly is the ability to code. Which is one of the biggest ones that we hit right now, which is why project-based learning can be so powerful. It teaches those important skills that our kids are going to need regardless of what the job that they're going into is.
Okay, we do have to go to take a short commercial break now. We're talking with Dr. Angie, educator and curriculum expert with SCVI and iLead Schools. When we come back, Angie will be sharing with us the concept of Genius Hour at home and telling us how we can set it up. For more information on how COVID-19 is affecting our valley, go to hometownstation.com and click on the red banner. There you'll find tips on the economy, health updates, special business hours, and much, much more. That's hometownstation.com. You're listening to SCVI Charter Schools Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers Edition with your hosts Amber Golden Raskin and Matt Watson on Hometown Station KHTS.
Hi, this is Dr. Palucki, and as an essential service, we'll be open throughout the coronavirus crisis with increased sterilization protocols and staggered scheduling to improve social distancing. If you prefer to stay at home, please download my Healthy Living COVID-19 program on the KHTS Coronavirus Experts page. It's a 30-day online plan with healthy recipes, stress reduction videos, home-based exercises, and supplement guidelines to stay healthy throughout this crisis. We also have several home-based plans for neuropathy, diet, exercise, and home-based rehabilitation. You can schedule a free phone consultation at 661-753-9340. and order any of our immune-enhancing supplements from the products page at drpilucky.com. I'm Dr. Thomas Pilucky, and I invite you to come out of this crisis better than ever.
The minute I open my door,
Debbie Morris has a problem.
I say, oh my gosh.
A really big problem.
The dog, the cat, my 3-year-old.
Debbie's house is a mess.
How can one family create this disaster?
Debbie needs Made for You.
I need help.
Professional, residential, and commercial cleaning, locally owned. You choose the schedule, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or even one-time seasonal cleaning. Call 255-2922. That's 255-2922. Made for You.
Made for You rescued me.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker has been ranked the 15th most influential person in the entire Santa Clarita Valley in 2010 by the Santa Clarita Valley Business Journal. When everything is on the line, call the Hacker Law Group.
Consumers Furniture Gallery will temporarily close to the public as a precautionary measure due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, as an essential retailer to the community we serve, we're committed to keeping our store available for homeowners and business that depend on us in times of urgent needs. To set up a showroom appointment, contact us at consumersfurniture@live.com. This is the most responsible way we can continue to care for our coworkers and our customers in a manner that is healthy and safe. We appreciate your understanding as we support each other through these uncertain times.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 on the FM dial and 1220 AM. I'm Amber Golden Raskin, along with my co-host Matt Watson, and this is SCVI Charter School's Eye on the Valley Homeschool Answers Edition. We're talking with Dr. Angie, project-based learning veteran and internationally respected educator and curriculum expert with SCVI and iLead schools.
So, Angie, before the break, we were talking about how a lot of our learning experiences, when we were kids anyway, were, well, I don't know how to put it more mildly than this. They're somewhat forgettable. And we're trying to build educational experiences for our kids that, A, they're going to be excited about, and then B, that are going to carry on, that they're going to remember. So now that our kids are at home, and I got to be honest, Angie, some of us parents were just kind of playing self-defense with our kids' education and hopefully giving them enough work to get us through the day. But how do we engage and get our kids excited about what they're learning, as well as empowering them and putting things in their hands now that we're doing school virtually? How does that work? Because I have to say, sometimes I see my son, working on his homework, or now he's doing his virtual work at home, and he's almost nodding off while he's doing his work. He's clearly not engaged. So how do we keep our kids excited about their learning?
So funny, I'm going to say a little anecdote. One parent showed me a video of a child getting ready for a public school district to get on a Zoom call for their quote-unquote first class of the morning.
Okay.
And she's like, I just left for the kitchen for 5 minutes, and I come back, and he's sleeping. So the child logged in, and the lecturer started lecturing, and the child just went to sleep. So we went into the discussion of what is happening, what can I do as a parent? And I said the communication with the educators is very important. As Amber mentioned earlier, that mind shift is really important. But I have to mention and underline for both parents and educators that learning hasn't changed at all. Learning is still the same in sense of, in order for kids to be feel empowered and be engaged, it has to be meaning-centered. They must make meaning out of it. It has to be somewhat social, which now the parameters for social changes. It's language-based. Of course, we use different languages. Now it's the online language and the technology language. And it's humanistic. There has to be something that helps the kids relate to it. So in order to make this most simple as it can be, I'll lay out 5 simple principles of how to make learning engaging and also empower kids to want to learn. So under that step 1, it's actually the Genius Hour that we're going to talk about. But the step 1 is give your kids a reason for learning virtually. We cannot just all of a sudden say, now you're at home, you can be on your couch, but have a computer in front of you. It's like, what is the actual reality? Have those conversations with your kids. Make it a dinner table conversation. Make it a family circle time. Just 15, 20 minutes at the beginning and just discuss about what you are as a parent going through. What are the fears? What are the skepticisms going around? And why did we all transition? And also, don't be afraid to say how educators feel. We're scared as well. We have no idea how will tomorrow look like, and most of us are using tools and languages and technologies that didn't exist back in our time when we were little and when we were doing this.
That's Angie, that's a really good point, because I think our tendency as adults is to try to stay stoic and strong for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if you could give some context around how to developmentally appropriately at various age levels communicate that we're uncertain too. And one of the things that I know that I've been taught and learned over the years many times is, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm sad. I'm upset. I'm scared. But here's how I deal with it as an adult.
Yes.
So that we're not putting it on the kids to feel like they have to fix it, but
Mm-hmm.
but we're giving them the reassurance that it's okay to feel that way, and mommy or daddy or grandma feels that way too. But here's our tools for coping. So I wonder if you could elaborate on that a little bit.
Absolutely. So, Amber, that's a great question. As Matt mentioned earlier, my brain is constantly working from preschool all the way to college level. So it's interesting to see the developmental ages and stages of how to address this kind of uncertainties and really harsh times. So something, though, that is in common, and Amber, you hit the nail on the head, is that we need to articulate it in a language that's understandable by our kids. For an example, I'll start with the little ones. Walking my son in the park and seeing people that we have seen before, but we have to social distance right now, how can you explain to a toddler, don't go and hug your neighbor? So the first time that we saw them, I was taken aback because I wasn't prepared mentally for that. How do I explain to my toddler? But then I went back to what I know and my preparation for it. And I said, well, you know what? There is some times when people are sick and when we're trying to stay away from them. But there is also times when mommy doesn't feel well or daddy doesn't feel well. And just reiterating that same language of it's okay that some people don't want us close to them right now, and it's okay that we are distancing ourselves from someone. So for little kids, especially elementary school, preschool all the way to elementary school, is talking and articulating the what now rather than what we can. So focus on what can we do rather than what can we do. So when they ask, why can we not go to so-and-so for a play date, and say the reason, because we're trying to stay at home so that we avoid getting sick and avoid getting other people sick. But what we can do is, because all of us are at home, just try to develop those ideas in your pocket of what can we do while we're staying at home. So we can call them, we can Zoom them, we can Skype with them, we can create a hide-and-seek game that's virtual, we can create a scavenger hunt that's virtual, and we can text each other. And I know this, again, is a huge mind shift, but we have to start thinking of what are our possibilities with the newly created circumstances rather than what are our deficiencies, because the deficiencies are actually perpetuating our fear and bring us down. Well, versus if we articulate what's happening and how can we remediate that with something that's instant around the house or close by or an option, then kids are more likely to accept it. The same is for middle and high school. Middle school is especially vulnerable because the kids are going through a lot of hormonal changes on their own. So their body changes a lot, and they are used to socially isolating within themselves. And now you're telling them on top of that, they got to stay home with their parents all day long. So again, trying to make sure that every morning or every evening when kids are most fresh or most vulnerable, we have those conversations as adults of how am I feeling right now? And it's okay if your children don't start sharing right away. They will not share on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 5, maybe sometimes for 20 days. But all of a sudden, you will hear them coming and saying, Mom or Dad, can I please talk to you? And they will open up. So I would say the true question right now is how can we as parents use this time productively to recreate, strengthen, or create the bonds with our kids that we subconsciously always wished for. I know as a parent that that's what I'm doing right now. I'm relearning how to be a stay-at-home mom while I'm working full-time, and my husband is at home. So week 1, we almost wanted to kill each other because we were on Zoom calls all the time and you have toddler noises. But then you just learn, and we learned what I just expressed, that the developmentally appropriate thing for a little child is, okay, to sit down and reason with them and be okay that he has a need for me to hold him in front of a camera to say hi to everyone. And that's our routine. Every meeting, now I lift him up, he's going to say hi to everyone, and it works like a charm. He goes off and plays on his own, and we're fine. So what are those little, and again, I'm going back to something that iLead schools have put it on the forefront before all of this happened, is we must create some sort of schedules and routines that will become easier and easier throughout the days, and also that are very flexible and adaptable, where we allow our kids to have their voice and choice in how we do things and when we do things.
So, Angie, you talked about developing some powerful experiences. We've got some commercials coming up, and Angie, we haven't even gotten into Genius Hour yet. Do you think I could talk you into sticking around for one more break after the commercials?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
Terrific. To our listeners, I promise we're going to get to Genius Hour as soon as we come back. We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned for more with Dr. Angie and some helpful advice and resources as we're parenting at home. We've got your back.
You're listening to SCVI Charter Schools Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers Edition. I'm Amber Golden Raskin, along with Matt Watson, my co-host, on your hometown station, KHTS.
During this unprecedented time, Dunkin' has continually focused on the health and safety of their employees and, of course, you, the customer. Dunkin's committed to being there for you, serving in the safest way possible, following all national, state, and local guidelines. Here in Santa Clarita, Dunkin' has implemented carry-out and drive-thru services, in addition to curbside pickup. The Dunkin' in Canyon Country is open from 5 a.m. until 7 p.m., serving guests with carry-out and drive-thru services. The Dunkin' on Bouquet Canyon near Lowe's is open from 5 a.m. until 7 p.m. with carry-out and curbside pickup. Download the Dunkin' app to pay, order, and accumulate points. Dunkin' is now also available through Grubhub for home and office delivery.
Have you heard about Assistance League Retail Store? For a good time and a great deal and bargains that are an amazing steal, there are friendly volunteers ready to share a smile. So come on in and stay a while. We take donations on gently used goods, and proceeds from our sales stay in the neighborhood. So for a great buy and a special find, come visit our store anytime. Assistance League Resale Store located at 24369 Main Street in downtown Newhall.
Coming to the Canyon, Santa Clarita, Jared Neiman, Buck Cherry, Mark Cohen, Taj Mahal, Genuine, John B., Herman's Hermit starring Peter Newt, Queen Nation, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, The Dickies, TSOL, Kingdom Come and XYZ, English Beat, The Samples and the Freddie Jones Band, Albert Lee, Blood, Sweat and Tears, The Marshall Tucker Band, Johnny Lang, and more. Country nights every Thursday, and the Canyon is the perfect place to host special events, so call 818-661-7237 to book yours today. The Canyon, Santa Clarita, where music meets the soul. Tickets available through Ticketmaster.
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
Social distancing slows the spread of coronavirus, so stay a minimum of 6 feet away from others and stay home if you can. More info at coronavirus.gov. Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Amber Golden Raskin along with Matt Watson, my co-host, and you're listening to Eye on the Valley Homeschool Edition, Homeschooling Answers Edition.
And we're talking with Dr. Angie Staviska. She's a curriculum expert everywhere from preschool up to university, and she's really got some amazing ideas. Angie, we've been promising our listeners to talk about Genius Hour, and when you first talked about this concept of Genius Hour, I checked out because I'm no genius, so I certainly can't lead Genius Hour, but we talked about this shift in education where the teacher doesn't always necessarily have to have the answers. We've just got to have the questions. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about Genius Hour? What is that?
Yes, absolutely. So Genius Hour is actually a perfect way to get the gears going, put it in words simple. What that means is when our kids feel down, when we feel stressed out, when we have no idea what to do, when our kids are all over the place, have interest, a lot of interest, or have no interest at all, Genius Hour is something that we can do at home or at school and get our kids super stoked about what they're doing. So what I'll do right now is really briefly walk us through how would it look like for littles, elementary school, so TK all the way through 6th grade, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about how do we scale this up for middle and high school.
Great.
So one of the ways to introduce a Genius Hour is, for example, a lot of people have watched the Kane's Arcade video. So for the people that haven't watched it, I'll post all these resources on the live Facebook page, and we'll have it on our homeschooling page too.
Oh, fantastic.
But after watching some inspirational video like Kane's Arcade, which is simply a child using boxes to create his own arcade, and it's a legit arcade. It works 2 days a week, and to play there, it's super simple and super cheap, but super fun. And the kid in the video just discusses about the whole story and how he got excited just by seeing a box. So after watching that video or any video that your kids might be interested in, you sit down with your kids and you talk about, do you like learning about specific subjects in school? Did Kane in the video like any subjects in school? What do you like to learn about outside from school? Because you can always have those kids, I don't like school, I don't like any subject, or I like a lot of them and all of them. So comparing, contrasting outside of school and inside of school, it's a really great way for parents to understand the differentiation and the differences in interest. And then you compare, contrast with Kane. What did Kane like learning outside from school or at school? And then the last thing from the questions is, what is the last thing you learned that no one told you to learn? Which means activating the kids' self-initiation for learning. And this is when they get excited about things. The second thing is to watch videos like Rube Goldberg's Monster Trap. It's another great video where a 7-year-old child talks about quantum physics. He created a trap at home, and he clearly, explicitly states his long-term goal in life to become a published and renowned quantum physicist. So I'm not saying that all our kids should have this potential, but what I'm saying is find something that your kids are passionate about, or listen to them and unpack that story of what might spark their interest. And once you watch a video, then go ahead and just ask your kids, what did the child or the person in the video know already? What did they want to learn? If it was a problem to solve, a question to resolve, to respond to, an inquiry. And then what did they actually learn in order to complete the process? And then we're going back to Genius Hour. So how do we start a Genius Hour? That's exactly it. Finding a purpose, discovering a passion, and allocating a time to learn and create. So this is not a time when we lecture our kids. This is not a time where we force feed academics. This is a time when we engage with our kids to just unpack what is it they want to know, what are they passionate about, and what are they about to discover or figure out.
The most amazing thing that you said to me, Angie, is to think about what is the last thing that you or your child learned that somebody didn't tell you you had to learn. To me, that's
Yes.
all about engagement. And so you're giving this genius hour and these beautiful steps to give a box or a container around how to create self-engagement, which again is just like we talk about in our classrooms, at home, having homeschooling. That's the beauty of homeschooling, is that you take the pressure off so that you can explore the child's interests. And so letting them explore what matters to them, that's where we're saying take the pressure off. Take the pressure off yourself, take the pressure off the student, relax into a little bit, and then create these opportunities to explore what their interests are. There are long lists of standards that you can connect their interests to, but do it the other way around instead of forcing them to learn from a list.
Yeah, so I guess designing Genius Hour in your home is taking that momentum that already exists inside your child, finding what they're excited about, and letting them just go deep with that and causing them to just dive headlong into it. We talked earlier this week with Kendra Bailey, whose son was excited about the new car that he was working on. She took advantage of this time to let him rebuild the car's engine. And yes, we are concerned about standards and curriculum maps and pacing guides and things like that, but that stuff is going to come, and like you said before, Angie, that's not necessarily the stuff that employers are looking for. So, Angie, I just want to thank you for your time today. We really appreciate you coming in and supporting everything that our parents are doing.
Next, we're going to a commercial break, and we're going to get caught up on national news and the latest updates. Stay tuned. In the next hour, we've got 3 great things. CPA Julie Sturgeon about your tax and financial issues, how to wean your teens off of you and into independence. But first, on the other side of the break, we now have our daily guest, Kristina Debray, who will be teaching us about how to measure your kids' stress level.
You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station.
Right now at IHOP, order any breakfast combo and we'll sweeten the deal with all-you-can-eat pancakes. So get out your all-you-can-eat silverware, because these pancakes aren't gonna all-you-can-eat themselves, because pancakes don't do that. Get IHOP's all-you-can-eat pancakes with any breakfast combo. Or just get the all-you-can-eat pancakes for $4.99. What else you got going on today?
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
Set your kids' creativity with a new twist on fun. Painting with a Twist, where professional artists guide your child during each painting party to create a finished work of art they can proudly hang at home or give to a loved one. Private parties, birthday parties, Friday night teen night, kids camp, daily events all summer. Visit paintingwithatwist.com, Golden Valley and Santa Clarita near Target. Painting with a Twist is your party destination for kids of all ages.
KHTS AM 1220 and 98.1 FM Santa Clarita. It's 10 o'clock. Time for national news on KHTS.
When on public Wi-Fi, you might be exposing it to random strangers. Connect to NordVPN and keep your online data secure and private. Download now.
Spread facts, not fear. Join CNN for a global town hall, live tonight at 8.
I'm Brianna Keeler, and in a war, we see the blood, we see the caskets, we see the aftermath of bombings on communities and countries, but in this war, we cannot see the horror unfolding because it is going on behind closed doors in our own hospitals. It's happening in ambulances, on the beds of those who are dying, only to quickly be filled by the next ones who need them. And it is still so early on in this coronavirus pandemic, but in America alone, there are families already planning 1,067 funerals. Many of those funerals won't even be held, at least not for a long time. Many of these families can't even find solace in the arms of loved ones because they can't be close to them. And for those who have died, many of them died alone. Families not allowed in hospitals, not allowed near the virus. The ones who were closest to them before and during their last breaths are the doctors, the nurses, the EMS workers, and right now they are overwhelmed. And for every day that the nation is slow to get more ventilators or debating and dismissing the need to stay home, these soldiers are working tirelessly around the clock to save lives. In one New York hospital, the New York Times describes a doctor performing chest compressions on a woman in her 80s, a man in his 60s, and a 38-year-old, and that is in one shift, all suffering from coronavirus, all who died. They described the scene as apocalyptic. Doctors and nurses, quote, struggle to make do with a few dozen ventilators. Calls over a loudspeaker of Team 700, the code for when a patient is on the verge of death, comes several times a shift. Some have died inside the emergency room while waiting for a bed. A refrigerated truck has been stationed outside to hold the bodies of the dead. And in this hospital, at least 13 people have died in just 24 hours. And the sick, well, they are too ill to tell you their stories. But doctors can, like this one.
Leaders in various offices, from the president to the head of health and hospitals, saying things like, we're going to be fine, everything's fine. And from our perspective, everything is not fine. I don't have the support that I need, and even just the materials that I need physically to take care of my patients. And it's America, and we're supposed to be a first world country.
These pleas like that of frontline healthcare workers are the alarm.
Thanks for listening to KHTS AM 1220, Canyon Country, California. K260CO 98.1 FM, Santa Clarita, California.
Social distancing slows the spread of coronavirus, so stay a minimum of 6 feet away from others and stay home if you can. More info at coronavirus.gov. Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
You see so much when you look at your child. A creative spirit that surprises you every day. Curiosity that develops into exploring unique passions. A little leader growing every day to discover who they are, what they love, and how they can make their mark on the world. At SCVI, we see those same amazing things. Our tuition-free K-12 charter school gives your child boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine freely, with a customized learning program built around each individual student. As iLead's founding school, SCVI combines an immersive approach to traditional subject learning with extracurricular activities including STEAM, robotics, theater, music, and sports. SCVI has the only international baccalaureate program in Santa Clarita, with a 10-year proven track record of graduates excelling at top universities. And we're in your backyard, just off the 5 freeway in West Santa Clarita Valley in Castaic. For enrollment information or to learn more about our program, including homeschool options, visit iLeadSantaClarita.org. iLead Schools, free to think, inspired to lead.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
You could be launching your rewarding career with one of Santa Clarita's leading defense contractors, FMI Aerostructures. Imagine creating critical airplane fighter components for our nation's defense. Be on the cutting edge of advanced technologies and get the skills needed to make our defense your career. We offer career paths for beginners and professionals. FMI Aerostructures, one of Santa Clarita's largest employers since 1978.
Find out about our 4-credit mentorship programs through College of the Canyons and the William S. Hart High School District. Visit fmiscv.com.
City Councilman Bob Keller here. Keep it tuned to 98.1 FM and AM 1220 KHTS, hometownstation.com, for the latest information regarding COVID-19. KHTS We'll have both national and local news and information during this unprecedented time. For more, go to the KHTS website or the KHTS Facebook page. KHTS is also available online in the free app for iPhone and Android. Continue to social distance, only going out if it's absolutely necessary, and continue to check on friends and family. With your help, we will flatten the curve and come through this stronger than ever.
The
Thank you.
following is sponsored programming and does not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Matt Watson. This is Amber Golden Raskin.
I'm Matt Watson.
Along with Matt Watson sitting right next to me, my co-host, and you're listening to Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers Edition. There are great resources from the last segment with Dr. Angie, and she is putting those on our Facebook live stream. You can find us just by searching for KHTS on Facebook. And also at homeschoolinganswers.com, which is a free resource to the general public that finds themselves suddenly homeschooling. And it is provided by veteran homeschoolers as a service during this COVID outbreak. We are joined next by Kristina Debray, a licensed marriage and family therapist with a remarkable story of resilience and determination. She's a graduate of Cal State Northridge and Pepperdine University, and she practices right here in Valencia, California. She has developed proficiency in EMDR, trauma, complex trauma, phobias, performance enhancement, attachment disorders, motivation, self-harm, suicide prevention, grief, chronic and terminal medical illness, child and adolescent interventions, and effective parenting techniques. Kristina is not only a dedicated professional, but a generous philanthropist, active in her consulting, speaking, fundraising, and event planning. Kristina has more than 18 years of speaking experience and regularly, wow, you're pretty young for 18 years. I'm impressed.
Right.
18 years of speaking experience and regularly speaks to and consults with medical professionals, organizations, patients, schools, parents, and business professionals. She focuses on helping individuals build, mend, and develop healthy relationships and authentic connections with others and with themselves. Kristina, welcome in.
So, Kristina, there's a lot going on. I'm sorry. I just walked right all over your greeting.
It's okay. We know each other by now.
Hi, Kristina. Yeah, for those of you listening, we've been chatting for the last 4 or 5 minutes off the air, so we've already said hello. But welcome in. How's Pedro doing this morning?
He's doing great.
Pedro is Kristina's little dog. He's the most amazing and energetic little guy.
And I'm glad Pedro's doing great. Here's what I'm wondering, Kristina. What age did you start speaking at?
Very young, like junior high age.
Yeah.
When I was 14 years old, I noticed that we didn't have a walk for Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, as I'm a cystic fibrosis patient, for those of you who don't know. So I said to my mom, why don't they have a CF walk? And so she said, well, I don't know. Why don't you call the foundation? So I called the foundation. We started the walk. So my mom and I, really my whole family, my dad and my brothers, we all spearheaded the establishment of the Valencia Great Strides Walk. And so I was always the speaker. I did all the media. My family and I did the fundraising. And so I started that.
In middle school? You did that in middle school?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
You're our people.
Definitely, and it's so inspiring. You mentioned your battle with cystic fibrosis, which is a terminal illness. Not everybody born with a terminal illness sets their sights on, I'm going to become a public speaker and a licensed marriage and family therapist. You're just amazing. So there's a lot going on with our safe at home situation. We've talked a lot about parents being able to take care of themselves and keeping their stress levels in check, because that's kind of where that climate starts at home. But we need to remember that our kids are under a lot of stress too, aren't they? I was talking to my brother yesterday. He and I both have kids at the same school, and my son's a senior, and we were talking specifically about the kids at Saugus High School. that have really just been put through the ringer this year. And, you know, the school district has already said that there won't be on-campus classes until at least that second week in May, and they're talking about the possibility of, you know, we may not come back until next school year. And if that happens, my brother and I were doing the math, those kids at Saugus High School will miss over 1/3 of the school days on campus this year, which can be stressful to say the least. And my senior, and I know Amber's son is worried about it as well, is talking about, well, what about prom? Are we still going to have prom? And well, what about graduation? I've been waiting my entire life for this. This can be stressful for kids, not to mention their worries about grandma and grandpa, or will I get the virus, and why can't I go outside and skateboard, and things like that. So, Kristina, how do we keep our eye on our kids' stress levels?
So first of all, real quick about what you were saying, you know, I know in these type of situations, always in life, we can become worried about the future. Right? That's really, depression is a lot about what's happened in the past, and anxiety is a lot about what might happen in the future.
Okay.
And so when we have a lot of anxiety, it's because we're stuck in what might happen, the what ifs of the future. So what I think is important is to bring your attention back to present. And when you struggle to do that, one of the techniques, it works for adults, it works for kids, it works for teens, is to make a worry box. Just take a shoebox, you could make it a jar, whatever it is, and write it down in there, put it in there, and say, hey, the jar is going to hold this, and then schedule a time at each day, whatever time that is. Maybe it's the morning, maybe it's lunch, maybe it's evening, where you can sit with your kid or sit with your spouse and hold the worries. And you can look at them, but you set a timer. So maybe you set 5 minutes. So you kind of want to make it age appropriate. So maybe a minute per age. So for a 3-year-old, 3 minutes. And then at the end of that 3 minutes, you can say, hey, did that feel like enough time to spend with our worries? If it is, great. If not, you can start it over. I wouldn't spend too much time with kids. We want to focus on containment. So the other thing that's really important is learning to measure our kids' distress levels. We want to really keep them as present as possible. And so when they start getting into the future, we want to bring them back to, well, let's just focus on today. So one of the things that I do in my practice is I use a scale called a SUD scale. It's subjective units of distress. So it's 0 to 10. And I just say it verbally like this. On a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being totally calm and at peace, 10 being the worst you ever felt in your entire life, how are you feeling right now? And then I know, and I wait for them to answer. Some people are going to have trouble answering. Now, for kids, this might not work, right? Based on what their level is, they might not be able to assess or have the awareness to know where they are specifically. And also we can have different parts. Hey, maybe the inner child part of myself is feeling at a 10, but the, more mature adult part of myself, logical part of myself feels at a 2. So you kind of want to be able to blend and understand that. So when we talk about kids, instead of asking that verbally, you can have a picture scale, just like in the hospital when they say, what's your pain scale? Yeah. So you can I've seen it you can just use emojis, right?
Yeah.
You can download some things from the internet, make your own little scale on computer paper. You can draw it out. Sometimes I make that a little art project for the kids. I will say, okay, so here's the worst you ever felt, and here's the best you ever felt. And let's draw what that looks like, right? And then we put that up somewhere on a fridge, on a wall, wherever you want to put it, okay? You can even keep it in a drawer and pull it out when it's needed, and you want to assess where they're at. Generally the way it works is that if you break it up into thirds. So the bottom third is low distress. the middle third is moderate distress, and the top third is high distress. So I would say from 7 to 10 is high distress, from 4 to 7 is moderate distress, and from 1 to 4 is low. So during each of those phases represents a way that the stress response is working differently. So once you figure out where it is, that's going to impact how you connect with your child in that moment. So when someone's a 7 or higher, a lot of things are not going to work. The stress response is fully engaged. You're going to see a drop in IQ. Especially kids are not going to be able to articulate themselves. So if your kid is screaming, hysterically crying, do not go and try and ask them what they're, what they're feeling like. You want to wait until they are calm, and then afterwards ask them about that experience, so that in future times when they reach that place, you can understand, okay, hey, this is sort of similar to what happened before. And during times of calm, you ask them, what helps you feel more calm? Is it when mom gives you a hug? Is it, being able to get a back scratch? Is it taking some deep breaths? Is it going for a walk outside? Is it having time by yourself? What is it?
Okay. And do you find it helpful giving benchmarks to those different levels? Because I know my teen at home might constantly rank himself 7 or higher even on a normal regular day. So do you find it important to kind of define, okay, a 10 might be, that day that we had a family relative pass away, or when this tragedy happened in our life. A 7 might be, and maybe talk about, okay, scale it back. What was a 9 day that we've had? What was an 8 day? So that we can kind of peg that on there?
Yes, you can do that. The only thing that I would caution you about doing that is that right now in this time of crisis, we don't want to say, hey, tell me about the worst day ever in your life when you were a 10 out of 10.
That's
right?
a good point.
We do not want to. Usually, it's not so important that this is 100% accurate.
Okay.
It's just a general guideline to help you better connect with your kids, your spouse. This is really good for couples. This is good for yourself, right? I know, hey, if I'm above a 7, I'm not going to be productive in any kind of work. So that's when I will go for a walk, or I'll turn on music, or for me, that's a time when, hey, I'm going to go do a load of laundry or do some dishes, because for me, cleaning is really a great way to take all that anxious energy and funnel it into something productive. But everyone works different. So you need to understand, you know your kid best. And sometimes your kid knows themselves best. So you have to know what's specific to the person. So maybe it's, hey, I just need to go take a nap. Maybe it's I need to watch my favorite TV show. Maybe it's I need a hug or a massage, or I need to snuggle with my puppy. Whatever it is. And during this time, you might see your kids and teens in a level of distress that you've never experienced before in your family. And so it's going to be some trial and error. But ultimately what you want to do is engage the parasympathetic nervous system, right? So P for peace, sympathetic is S for stress. So sympathetic is fight, flight, freeze, and the higher that you get to a 10 is when you're in that fight, flight, freeze. And the closer that you are to a 0 that's the parasympathetic nervous system, P for peace. So like we've talked about before the previous times I've been on, the diaphragmatic breathing, right? So 7-7-7
in for
breathing.
7, hold for 7, out for 7. And slow. Don't gulp your air like I was doing.
Yep. Very slow. I should have articulated that. Slow.
Look on your face.
I almost drowned myself in my own breathing.
About
it was not de-stressing for me. It was a stressful 7 seconds in my life.
I can tell by the look on your face.
But I've got it now. It's working.
Other things that are quick, I work with people who have borderline personality disorder, or people who can very easily become dysregulated. I work with kids with autism, and then we do trauma work on top of that. So people can be a 10 or 11 in my office, and that can bring you to a place of having thoughts of wanting to die even. And so one of the things that I do is, I know it, just verbally say this to people. I know right now it doesn't feel okay. I just want to remind you that this is temporary and it will be okay soon. You need to, people can lose that ability to see that, and especially kids and teens. So remind them that, right? And a couple of great techniques is I have one of those sequin pillows in my office. That's those.
I love those.
Right? You know, where it's just a really neat texture. Any kind of texture-oriented thing, right? So different kids like different things. You could do silly putty. You could say, hey, run your hand across the carpet. Tell me how it feels. Can you tell me all the different colors you see in the carpet? Because I'm looking at my carpet right now. It's like a brownish color, but really there's different specks and different colors in it. And so bringing attention to the present, grounding exercises. Tell me 5 colors that you see in the room. Is there anything in this room right now that's positive to look at? Can you describe it to me? If there's nothing positive to look at, can you tell me something neutral? For older kids, teens, and even adults, one of the great things is I will take out a dictionary or a book, make sure that it's not any kind of triggering content, and read a paragraph backwards, because that taxes the working memory and it will help you shut down. Or you can do, I go and take one of those multiplication sheets. Okay. I'll just even print a Google image search, multiplication sheet, something ridiculous like the 12, not something super easy. And I'll print that out for kids or teens or even adults to work on, because it taxes your working memory. Now, I always ask people, are you more of a math person or a writing person? Because you don't want to give math problems to a writing person, because that's just going to put them more on the ceiling than they already are, right?
Yep.
So if your kid is not good at math or writing, then don't do that. For younger kids, instead of doing the multiplication thing, I will just verbally say, okay, what's 2 plus 2? 4 plus 3 plus 7. I'll just add random numbers, and then I'll say divided by 2 minus 1, right? So it's almost like a little game that you can play. And so I will say count backwards from 100 I usually start with 7. Count backwards from 100 in 7, right? So 193, so on and so forth. And if that's too hard for them, I'll say count back from 105. If that's too hard for them, I say count back from 100 in 1.
Yeah.
So 199, 98. And you keep making it as easy as possible until they're able to do it.
It's a lot like a lot of the parenting tips that I'm sharing. Get your kids thinking. Get them out of that like you said,
reactive,
fight or flight or freeze standpoint, and just get them thinking. Kristina, we're so grateful for this time that you're giving us, and we love that you're able to come on every day now. Now, to our listeners, if you've got questions for Kristina, we want you to please feel free to either post them on the Facebook Live feed, or you can email us at homeschoolinganswers@ileadschools.org. Don't forget that we've got multiple schools, and so it is plural in my email address. Homeschoolinganswers, also plural, at ileadschools.org. You can also contact Kristina direct. I'm sorry.
Homeschooling Answers. Yeah.
Nope. My email is .org.
Yes, you're right.
The website is .com.
Yes, you're right.
Email me at homeschoolinganswers@ileadschools.org. You can also contact Kristina directly at 661-513-4857. 661-513-4857. We're also going to have her back on tomorrow talking about identifying red flags with our kids. We're going to take another short commercial break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes, and we'll be joined by CPA and Santa Clarita Community Leader Julie Sturgeon. You are listening to SCVI Charter Schools Eye on the Valley Special Edition, Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson with my co-host Amber Raskin on your hometown station, KHTS.
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Why do people from all over Santa Clarita come to our spa in Canyon Country? Simple. They want the highest quality services at prices that everyone can afford. This is Rosemary from Beyond Harmony Med Spa. Read our reviews and know why we won the Ultimate Beauty Awards 2 years in a row by the readers of Elite magazine. Come and see how close we really are and experience the level of excellence that our clients have loved for the past 13 years. Go to beyondharmony.com or call 298-8008 today for a free consultation.
Facey knows life gets busy. Let us go to work for you in the Santa Clarita Valley. We have 34 primary care physicians and 55 specialty doctors in 4 offices. And Facey has easy 24/7 online appointment scheduling for PCPs and PEDS with some extended hour appointments available. We are Facey Medical Group. Let us go to work for you today. For more information or to make an appointment, visit facey.com. That's FACEY.com.
Did you know you can attend College of the Canyons tuition free? Yeah. Canyons Promise provides incoming first-time college students the opportunity to attend College of the Canyons tuition free for their first 2 years. And you don't even have to be a recent high school graduate to take advantage of the opportunity. Anyone who's a first-time college student and meets the Canyons Promise criteria can sign up. Visit canyons.edu/promise for full details and to get signed up before June 15th. canyons.edu/promise.
In response to LA County's stay-at-home mandate to prevent the spread of coronavirus, Reyes Winery, located on Sierra Highway in nearby Santa Clarita, will be providing pickup-only services on Saturdays and Sundays from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. All other services during the week and on the weekends will be temporarily suspended. Reyes Winery cares about the health and well-being of our community. Go to reyeswinery.com for more information or call 661-268-1865. That's 268-1865.
You see so much when you look at your child. A creative spirit that surprises you every day. Curiosity that develops into exploring unique passions. A little leader growing every day to discover who they are, what they love, and how they can make their mark on the world. At SCVI, we see those same amazing things. Our tuition-free K-12 charter school gives your child boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine freely, with a customized learning program built around each individual student. As iLead's founding school, SCVI combines an immersive approach to traditional subject learning with extracurricular activities including STEAM, robotics, theater, music, and sports. SCVI has the only international baccalaureate program in Santa Clarita, with a 10-year proven track record of graduates excelling at top universities. And we're in your backyard, just off the 5 freeway in West Santa Clarita Valley in Castaic. For enrollment information or to learn more about our program, including homeschool options, visit iLeadSantaClarita.org. iLead Schools, free to think, inspired to lead.
Mission Valley Bank is a commercial bank in the Santa Clarita Valley that really puts the community into community banking.
At Mission Valley Bank, we strive to be a trusted advisor to our clients, and that means being an integral part of the communities we serve. We started the Give Where You Live program to help bring awareness to our nonprofit partners. We're more than just a local business bank. In fact, we're a full-service, independent commercial bank that is locally owned, community-minded, and relationship-driven. I'm Tamara Gurney, President and CEO of Mission Valley Bank, and I invite you to experience the Mission Valley Bank difference, where your success is our mission. We want to be your most valued bank.
Mission Valley Bank has been named Most Trusted Advisor Business Banker by the San Fernando Valley Business Journal 5 years in a row, and received the Business Leadership Award by the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce, Valley Industry Association, and SCV Economic Development Corporation. Visit them at their Center Point branch location or at missionvalleybank.com. Member FDIC.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Amber Golden Raskin, along with my co-host Matt Watson, and you're listening to Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers Edition.
Joining us now is CPA and philanthropist Julie Sturgeon. Julie's principal strengths lie in applying tax and accounting techniques to the actual day-to-day functions of running a business. Julie's commitment is to provide prompt and personal customer service. She excels in a communication style representing both professional knowledge and a clear manner in which to convey information. She began her career in the private sector as corporate controller for the Century City Incorporated and Moss & Company, real estate management companies. Prior to starting her CPA firm, Julie was staff accountant at local accounting firms specializing in audits, reviews, and tax preparation. Julie's a graduate of USC with degrees in both business and accounting. When not working, Julie is active in local fundraising and philanthropic events. She's chaired many local nonprofit events, including the Michael Hoffman Foundation's Evening Under the Stars, Woman of Honor for the Betty Ferguson Foundation, and Taste of the Town for the Child and Family Foundation. She's served on the board of directors for the College of the Canyons Foundation, Senior Center, Seroptimist of Greater Santa Clarita Valley, the Betty Ferguson Foundation, along with PTA and PTA Council. Julie's been nominated for Santa Clarita Valley's Woman of the Year on multiple occasions, including this year, 2020. Julie and her husband, Steve, spend their free time with their family and grandchildren. She loves to cook, travel, read, and work out. Good morning, Julie. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
And congratulations. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I almost forgot about those years when I was working in private sector. It's been such a long time.
Well, and I wanted to congratulate you again on being nominated as Woman of the Year 2020. This is not your first nomination, though, is it?
No, it's not. And this year I was nominated by the Senior Center and Rotary International, the local Rotary Club. So I was really proud to get both of those nominations.
And I mentioned in your introduction some of the different organizations that you worked for, but that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. It seems like there isn't a community organization in this valley that you haven't done significant work with.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yes, I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, I know you do. You and your husband, Steve, are both very active in the community, and both of you huge parts of making this town so awesome.
Oh, thank you.
So the outbreak of coronavirus and the ensuing closures and quarantines has kind of turned everything upside down right now. But as we move into this new normal, we start to think about, okay, how's it going to affect this and how's it going to affect that? I was thinking on my drive home from the station yesterday about, gosh, I'm going to need a haircut here pretty soon. How's this going to affect my ability to get a haircut? And also in thinking about our finances, we've got to be thinking. So the IRS this year has given us a little bit of a reprieve, haven't they? So what does this mean for the taxpayer? Do we have to file for an extension, or is this automatic? What's with our taxes this year, Julie?
Okay, well, what we have to do is completely, for this year, forget about April 15th. Woo-hoo. Because I still get people asking me, do I have to file an extension if I want to go to July 15th? No, just forget April 15th for the time being. July 15th is the new April 15th for this year. So a lot of things that normally would have been in effect for April 15th will now be July 15th. So the filing of your tax return is due on that day. The payment of your tax liability is due on that day. If you do need to go on extension, though, you have to the October extension, you would have to file that by July 15th. So what we're requesting now from our clients is to let us know whether or not they're going to need to go on the normal extension, which would be October 15th, and we'll have to apply for that by July 15th.
So the only time I need to file an extension is if I want to push to October, but as long as I can get them done by July 15th, I'm good. And if I'm one of those folks that likes to stand in line at the post office at the final hour and be there and right before midnight to get it time-stamped on July 15th, I better bring a cold drink with me because it's going to be hotter than April 15th.
Oh, it certainly will be. And the only good thing about this year is they're not going to be charging. If you do go to July 15th, they will be eliminating any penalties and interest payments typically due on April 15th. So that's good on that.
That is terrific. Yeah.
Yeah.
So What about, it's so funny, as a teacher, my kids would always complain about this. Like if I gave an extension on the homework, it was the kids that were proactive and did their homework early that got frustrated by it. What about our friends that have been proactive and have filed their taxes already and maybe had to make a payment, and so they scheduled that payment to debit on April 15th? So I filed my taxes already. I've given the IRS permission to reach in my pocket on April 15th and take that payment. Am I still locked into that, or can I take advantage of this reprieve or this grace period until July 15th?
Well, you can, not as easy as you and I would like to think, because if you've already mailed your check in, obviously that's too late.
Sure.
If you've scheduled your payment, that was one of the things we started encouraging our clients to do, is just to go ahead and have it automatically taken out of their bank account. It's much easier than having them remember to, have the voucher and put it in an envelope and put a check in the envelope and do it more the old-fashioned way. So we had that scheduled, and some of them are coming out like April 12th, 13th, 15th. Well, if that's already been e-filed, it's too late now. You can't really do anything about that. However, the IRS has set up a phone number that you can call, so you do have to call the IRS to cancel that payment, and so they don't automatically withdraw the funds. I'm going to give you that phone number, so hold on. It's 888-353-4537. So basically, you're going to be asking for a cancellation of that automatic withdrawal, and then you make sure, if anyone's already e-filed their return, make sure you do that as soon as possible. They're saying you can do that 2 days prior, but you know how it is calling the IRS. They get hung up, and it's kind of hard to get through to them. So I would do it as soon as possible. And as far as the state goes, I don't have any information on the state yet, and I'm not sure that they have posted anything yet. And if anyone has any information on that, it would be great to hear what the state has done.
Absolutely. So maybe they can post on our Facebook Live feed and let us know what the state's doing. So if I've already scheduled that payment, I can call that phone number, 888-353-4537, to see if they can hold off until July 15th. Some of us might just say, it's scheduled for April 15th, let it ride. But, some of us, our primary source of income might be, rental income from different properties that we own. And if our tenants aren't able to make rent, then that would hinder our ability to take care of our financial obligations. We may need to talk to the IRS and push that payment off until July 15th.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've given the same information to some of my clients, and I think once they realize they have to call the IRS, they've chosen to say, oh, that's okay. Let them just go ahead and take it out in April.
Wise move.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's shift to now small businesses. You know better than I do that there's so many small businesses here in Santa Clarita. They really are the engine that keeps us moving. What about those small business owners who do have to pay their estimated taxes quarterly? They kind of have to pay their taxes up front rather than waiting until that April 15th, now July 15th deadline. How is this affecting their payments?
Okay, well, in some cases, if they know that their business is going to do approximately what they did last year, the 2019, typically what we do is we base the estimates for 2020 on their 2019 income. If they think it's going to be the same, then I'm just going with that assumption. Then the first quarter payment is due, second quarter, third, fourth. So typically the first quarter payment is due April 15th. Well, that's been extended to June 15th. So I don't want people to be confused and thinking that's all the way out to July 15th. That first quarter estimated payment is due June 15th, and so is their second quarter payment. So really it's kind of a double whammy. They have to have both payments made by June 15th. And then the third quarter is September 15th, and the fourth quarter is January 15th, 2021. We're going all the way out there. Another thing, though, to consider, if the business has taken a pretty good hit because of this, setback with the virus and not being able to work and function, they may not even need to make an estimated tax payment, or they may have a reduced estimated tax payment that would be calculated because their business is not going to be making as much of a profit this year as it has in the past. So they may want to go back and recalculate out their estimated tax payments, or have their tax preparer, whomever has done that for them and refigure that out and maybe reduce that payment.
Yeah, because for a lot of those business owners, this year could be significantly different from last year. So have you got any other advice for those business owners that are maybe facing closures? Or do you have any information on maybe SBA loans or anything like that might be helpful for those business owners that are listening?
Yeah, now this is all brand new information.
Sure.
So, and it's evolving and changing, and there are business owners can apply, and it's for the period of loss from February 15th through June 30th. That's under the new act that was passed by Congress, and these would be for businesses with 500 or less employees, and they would have to comply with a certain code section, but I think most businesses would, and it would apply to sole proprietors, independent contractors, and eligible self-employed individuals. So, for example, if you have an LLC and you're considered a disregarded entity, there are a lot of people that are in what they call disregarded entities. That means they're the only ones that own their LLC. They're treated pretty much like a sole proprietor or like an independent contractor, so they would be eligible for that. And the use of proceeds is sort of limited, but very much more expanded than we would have normally thought. It's for payroll costs, health benefits, sick leave, health insurance payments, mortgage interest payments, not to be used for your principal. So, for example, on your home loan or building loan, it would not cover the principal, but it would cover the interest, rent payments under any lease agreements, utilities, and interest and other obligations. So, and again, not the principal amount.
Okay.
So there are other things too that are covered, but it's just kind of a lengthy list. So if they go to the SBA website, they can get a lot of information there. There's a lot posted on the various websites that are available to people to look at. But that would be one of the things that they could do is really kind of help themselves by looking at websites. I looked at one this morning that was published by, I don't know if I could say it on the radio, but it was New York Times, and they had a whole checklist on the bill that was just passed, and including about information about the checks that are the stimulus checks that are going to be being sent out by the government, and who is eligible for them and who is not, and why, and how it's calculated. So that would be an interesting thing for people to look at.
Okay. So you said that was on the New York Times website.
Yeah, I saw it on the New York Times website this morning, and it's on frequently asked questions on stimulus checks, unemployment, and the coronavirus bill.
Okay, terrific. And one of our listeners was just asking about property taxes. Have you heard anything about property taxes? Is there anything that's changed in regards to that? A lot of our homeowners are wondering about stuff like that.
That's a good question because they're due April 10th.
Right.
And that would be something that the county would have to come up with, and I'm not sure. I know questions have been asked of Catherine Barger's office, but I'm not sure if that's actually decided yet. So that's a very good question, and I think as soon as we know specifically, maybe post it on your website.
Yeah, we'll try to do that as soon as possible. We'll also reach out to county officials. This is all really great information, Julie, and we really appreciate it. So if our listeners are interested, are you taking on new clients at this time?
That's such a loaded question. The reason is I say that is because I'm barely keeping my head above water with my current clients. We're in here sort of isolated from the rest of the world, and when I say we, my husband, who is not a CPA, has been helping me out with a lot of clerical things, but we don't have any office staff in here to help us. So if they do want to make an appointment, it would have to be sometime after the quarantine period is over with. I would be happy to entertain looking at some new clients. I couldn't help them right now.
So I've noticed on your website you do have a staff. So you're maintaining your social distance even from your staff as well as your clients, aren't you?
We are, yes. The clients, all of our meetings are telephone meetings, And so I've scheduled them, just like my normal tax appointment meetings, but they're telephone. And they're either sending me in a secured email their PDF documents for their tax return or faxing them into my office. In a few cases, they are dropping them off, but we have the door locked. And what they do is put them in a package outside and call us and let us know they're out there, and we immediately go retrieve them because they're all, documents I don't want anyone to get their hands on. So we immediately bring them into the office. But this way we're not having any physical contact with any other human beings at this time.
That's good. It makes all of our lives a little bit different, a little bit more difficult. But again, let me go back to at least what my personal priorities are. Last hour, Shane and I were talking about how important it is to get back to baseball season. So we appreciate you maintaining that social distance so that we can flatten that curve, like they keep saying, and keeping everybody happy and healthy. On behalf of, honestly, the rest of the world, we want to say thanks, Julie, for keeping yourself safe and the rest of your
I just want to say
safe.
one more thing, if I could, and that's a shout-out to my grandkids because I really miss them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you video conferencing with them at all? Are you able to connect?
We have a few times, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But nothing beats the hug of one of those 4 grandbabies that you have, huh?
Oh, you're right.
It is tough. Well, again, Julie, we are so grateful for your time and expertise. We do have to take one last commercial break. But when we come back, we're going to be talking about advice for your teens, helping make them a little bit more independent. You're listening to SCVI Charter School's Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson with Amber Golden Raskin on your hometown station, KHTS.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
At iLead Agua Dulce, we believe the most important thing a child can learn in school is who they are. Life's real tests are never standardized, which is why we've developed an individual-based curriculum that values exploration, cooperation, and creativity. As our learners grow, so do we. Our tuition-free charter school is currently enrolling grades TK through 7th and adding 8th grade in 2020. Your young learner will be immersed in a unique environment where possibility and self-discovery are at the core of every experience. The Agua Dulce campus features beautiful indoor and outdoor spaces for hands-on inspiration, including a robotics lab, a garden bed, a greenhouse, and a technology-based exploratorium. iLead Agua Dulce is conveniently located on the east side of the Santa Clarita Valley, just off the 14 freeway. Check out our homeschool options too. To schedule a campus tour or learn more about our programs, visit iLeadAguaDulce.org. We're enrolling now. iLead Schools. Free to think, inspired to lead.
If you're in danger of losing your home to foreclosure, you need an expert. Hi, I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I've helped hundreds of Santa Clarita residents save their homes completely for free. I've got just over 20 years experience and a loan modification success rate of over 80%. I can negotiate better terms with your bank and I can save your home from foreclosure. And again, we do this completely for free. So if you're in any danger, please call me today at 661-714-1400. That number again is 661-714-1400. I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I'll be happy to help you save your home for free.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson with Amber Raskin, and you're listening to Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. You know, as parents and teachers, we all have the same job, and that's to work our way out of a job. It seems paradoxical, but we want to get our kids to the point where they don't need us anymore, that they can function on their own. We know that that's when we've been successful, is when our kids don't need us anymore. And I know that that can hurt, but maybe we just shift that to, sure, they don't need us anymore, but they love us and want us. And that's why they come back home and start bringing grandkids with them. But what sometimes happens is we manage our kids, and I don't mean that in a behavioral fashion, but we managerially. We manage our kids all the way through high school graduation and college enrollment and the eventual day that they move out. And then all of a sudden we expect them from one day to the next to be able to make their own decisions. But if we never give them that opportunity to do that, we're setting them up for failure. Okay? I want to give you an example. My listeners know that I'm a single dad, and my oldest moved in with me kind of toward the tail end of her senior year. And I knew by the conversations that we had been having that shortly after her graduation, her high school graduation, she was planning on moving out. So I knew that I had anywhere between about 12 weeks and 12 months to get her ready for adulthood. And so that was a really truncated time. It was a really short time. And so what I decided from the day that she moved in is I wasn't going to make any decisions for her. I wasn't, even though she's a great kid. If you're listening, love you, Becca. She really is terrific, and she would always ask permission to do the different things she was doing, even though she had already turned 18. But I never gave her permission. Instead, what I did is I walked her through the thought process. I remember one night she came home from work. It was about 9:30 at night, and it was a school night. She was still in high school. And she says, Dad, can I go over to my friend's house? We're going to watch a movie together. Rather than saying yes, or honestly what I wanted to say, no, it's a school night, I knew that she wasn't going to have me eventually to make those decisions. Is it a good thing to go out tonight or not? So instead, I would just throw the question back on her and say, well, do you have school tomorrow? And of course she says, duh, Dad, it's Tuesday tomorrow. You know I have school. Okay, what time does school start? Okay, so if you have to be in class at 7:15, what time do you need to leave the house? Okay, so if you need to leave the house at 5 minutes till 7, then what time do you have to get up in order to get ready? And it's funny, her answer to that one was, well, I can wear a hat. So she's now shortening. She sees where I'm going, right? She's seeing the thought process that I'm walking her through. And so I eventually walked her all the way back to, okay, so if that's what time you need to get up, how many hours of sleep do you need? If that's how many hours of sleep do you need, what time do you need to be home? And again, I just let logic be the answer to her question, can I go out tonight? And it was funny. Initially, she said, okay, so I'll be home by midnight. And I said, terrific. And then, she showed back up at about, I think it was maybe 10:45. I said, hey, what happened? Oh, we just had a quick cup of coffee, and then I decided it was time to come home. So yeah, it worked out great for me that time. It doesn't always work out that great. But we'll talk about what happens if it backfires on you, because even when it backfires, it can still be a success. But that was with Becca. Like I said, I only had what turned out to be a couple of months to help get her ready for adulthood. And I'm happy to say that she's out there. She's living on the edge, and she's doing it, Amber. She's killing it. Even though her hours are being cut at the coffee house that she's working at, she's now shifted, and she's starting her own business. And, and she's doing what she needs. She knows that Dad is here to rescue her, but she really does not want to ask, and that's great.
Good for you and good for her.
With most of us, and like my youngest, we need to start earlier. We can't wait until spring semester of their senior year. So start earlier. Start even when they're 6, 7, 8 years old. Give them permission, but then follow up with things like, so when they start asking, Mom, can I go spend the night at my friend's house? Yeah, go ahead and give them permission if that's something that you want to do. But then follow up with, but make good decisions. That's what I do with my youngest. He's been with me for several years now, and he'll ask, hey, Dad, can I go hang out at Denny's this Friday night with my friends and until the wee hours of the evening? And he's a little bit older now, and so I do say, yeah, go ahead and go out with your friends, but, sweetheart, remember, make good decisions. Okay? And so that's a way of putting the power into their court, and they start processing what are good decisions, what aren't good decisions, right? Like I said, you want to be that Jiminy Cricket in their brain all the time. You can be their conscience for them. And then, not all the time, but every now and again, you want to debrief their time on their own with them. So maybe they spent the night, or maybe they spent a weekend off with friends, and they come back, and you say, so did you make good decisions? And I'm sure they're going to answer, yeah, and continue walking toward their bedroom. So, but ask that follow-up question. Yeah? How so? What was a good decision that you made? And get them talking. You know, they might blow you off at first, especially if this is a new dynamic in your family. They're not used to being asked these questions. But eventually they will start thinking about it. And it's funny, they'll start thinking even on the way home, okay, Mom's going to debrief with me on my weekend. What's a couple of good decisions that I can tell her about so that I can maybe get her off my back, okay? And then eventually you want to start allowing them to make some of the decisions around the house as well. We talked with Alex and Kristina yesterday about maybe letting your kids decide what we're going to have for dinner, or, you know, then you let them experiment and let them cook. Or have them join you when you're budgeting and paying the bills and things like that. You know, I remember when I first moved out when I was 22, a couple of things shocked me. First of all, how expensive bath towels were. And then second, the fact that water wasn't free. I thought water was just free. It flows in the ground. Why would we have to pay for it? So get them to practice now. And again, that question, what about if they fail? Well, I can guarantee you one thing. Yes, they're going to fail. They're going to burn dinner. They're going to make a bad decision. They're going to stay out later than you were comfortable with. And yes, that's the idea. They mess up now when they're with us so that we can help walk them through that process so that they don't mess up so deeply and so badly when they're older and when they're gone. At least it's not so bad. Okay, we want to walk them through the life's trial and error of things. That's what those debriefs are for, right? You give them the space to reflect on their choices. Okay, so remember a couple of keys in the debrief. Avoid criticizing their decisions. Instead, ask those reflective questions like, how did it go and what would you do different next time? Of course, keep things age appropriate, right? You don't want to give your 7-year-old permission to go away with his friend from school and no adults for the weekend, right? Keep it age appropriate, and you ease them up to that complete independence by the time they're 18. And then learn to walk them through the decision-making process. Be the thought process in their brains for them. Teaching your kids independence is just like teaching them to drive. They can't get good at it without guided practice and tons of opportunities to do it for themselves. So give them those opportunities, and that way they'll be healthy, independent adults when they're ready to leave that nest. Unfortunately, we do have to wrap up, but thanks for stopping by. I want to thank our guests, Dr. Angie Staviska, CPA and philanthropist Julie Sturgeon, and licensed marriage and family therapist Kristina Debray, and thank you for joining us this morning. Join us again tomorrow at 9 a.m. We'll have more on what you can do to help ease the stress and maximize the learning during this difficult time. You're listening to SCVI Charter Schools Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers with Matt Watson and Amber Golden Raskin here on your hometown station, KHTS.